chat?
Lab chat.
We've got a question from the audience. It was asked by Digit Gears, and it's about Second Life. Is there any hint at how much longer the experience system will be limited to premium members? And is there any improvements that will be coming to its search engine anytime soon?
I could take a quick stab at it. I do know that from time to time we get requests for additional, LSL support, and we take those questions, we kind of mull it over within, with the team, and it really just becomes a matter of, priority and resources. We do get a lot of great requests, and so we log them in, and from time to time we kind of meet and we try to figure out what and if we can do it. As far as making premium eligibility, I can't really speak on that part. Maybe Ebbe, do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Whether experience keys is something that non-subscribers could use, or
non-premium members could have set up.
Oh, so right now you have to be a creator that's a premium member in order to get access to the experience key system?
Yes.
Well, that's more in Troy's. I don't know why Troy's throwing this as me. This is Troy's.
I thought because it had to do with eligibility for had to be a premium member. But yeah, it hasn't been really discussed. We wanted it originally. The reason why we did that is because it was such a powerful tool that we wanted to use that as a way to sort of weed out somebody just taking this tool and now using it as a grouping vector. We know that folks that are premium members, they are.
Troy,
I think your microphone
mic's
exploded.
gone really bad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you on a Mac?
Yes.
Maybe it's too hot.
It's getting really.
Yeah, you're buzzing. You're buzzing like crazy.
Troy's Mac does that sometimes.
Yeah.
Any
better?
No.
You should mute.
All right, Troy hit the sound barrier there somehow.
Get him one of those new MacBooks. They're fine.
Yeah, so what Troy was saying, though, was we wanted to make sure that people that had access to these tools were some people that we actually had very understood who they were, and being a subscriber makes it sure that we know who you are. Just making it available to an anonymous user would potentially be a griefing vector that we didn't want to expose. So I don't know that we want to move it into the public domain, if you will, and keep it with people that we really know who they are.
In the Old English threat, you know where they live.
Yeah. Well,
I
there,
know
I
where
think
your bed sleeps.
there was a separate question there too.
Or-
though. Was there two
Or at the very
parts?
least, we know where they pay their bills.
Yeah.
Are there any improvements coming to the search engine soon?
Oh yeah.
Second
I mean
half.
that for the marketplace, the search engine there. Are you talking about marketplace search?
In-world, I think.
World search?
I think you meant
the search
specifically
engine.
the experiences search, but
Experiences.
that's just a subset of the regular in-world search. But it's we right now our search efforts are focused, as Ebbe was implying, focused on marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
The new Elasticsearch engine, which we expect will probably go to become the default search engine on marketplace quite soon. The testing of it has gone very, very well, and we think it's producing better results than the old search did. So one of the things we will be considering is the application of that Elasticsearch backend technology to other sorts of search that we have elsewhere in Second Life. Couldn't say what the timing of that would be, but it's definitely something we'd like to do. If for no other reason, then we'd rather only have one search backend.
I have got another marketplace question here, and I've heard about this from several creators. This comes from Sweet Valentine. And she says that there's been a problem with overcharging for enhancements on the marketplace, and that there are multiple JIRAs.
The product listing enhancements
Yeah.
problem. Yes, we think we actually understand. That's been a vexing one to figure out. But we actually do believe we've got a handle on at least one of the major sources of that. Of course, the only way we figure out if that's the only one is to fix it and then see if they've gone away completely.
Yeah.
But we're in the process of doing that. So everybody keep your fingers crossed. But we think that's we're getting a grip on that one.
Great. That's great news for creators.
Yes, our support people are going to be really, really happy when we're done with that, because it's a big headache for them to do they have to do all the refunds by hand.
Yes.
You know, thanks to Bento, we can actually do keep our fingers crossed, so that may help as well.
Yeah, but that's true.
I've got another question from Yiku Zong, and he or she asked, when will the Sansar beta access acceptance be? Because, you know, loads and loads of people have probably signed up, and we're all waiting. Subtle hint. It's a she. Right, sorry, thank you.
She, very much she.
Yes, she. So when can we get in?
Oh, for Sansar. So we had hoped originally that it would be end of June, early July. Now it looks like end of July, early August.
No.
And we have gotten lots of applications, thousands. So as soon as we can start letting some people in, we will. We are like eagerly awaiting the day when we can start to interact with some users on the platform and start the conversation and the dialogue about what works, what doesn't work, what do you need, how should we do, you know, and start that journey together with the people that come on board. And we might let some in earlier in July, the ones that have really high tolerance for pain, and then we will keep adding. But the goal right now is to get to, by the end of July, a product that we feel is worthwhile for people to, for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you, not because of you, but because of what you're trying to do. We want to make sure, and part of this application process is for us to try and match up what the platform is capable of and what you are attempting to do, or what would you like to do. And if there's a big mismatch there, then it's likely to set you up for failure and not be successful, depending on what you're trying to do. So, and then as the platform matures, we can let more and more people on that are trying to do things that it probably won't allow some people to do in the beginning. So, and there's, we don't really need people that just come in to just look around and poke at it. I mean, we want people that are willing to commit time and effort and hit it and do work with it and be okay with what it's able to do at that point in time, not just come in and poke at it for 10 minutes and go, now I'll come back next month. Like, we want people who are willing and able to engage in a meaningful way with what it can offer at that point in time. So that's what we're trying to figure out. So, yeah, those are the time frames.
Right. Well,
and then we're still aiming to sort of make it sort of available to everybody by the end of the year. But like with any huge project like this, you can never be certain. But that's the goal.
Right. Well, just a subtle hint to whoever is in charge of that. I'll be bringing schnapps.
Yeah. No, the bribes are flying around. Yeah.
Excellent. That's what we do best.
Yeah. The audience here, you know, when you started talking about pain, I think one and all of them announced that they were masochists. Anything, just let us in.
Yeah. Well, and you know, for a lot of things that you've been able to do in Second Life, like there's a lot of things you've been able to do in Second Life that you will not be able to do in Sansar for some time to come. There will be some things you can do that you can't do in Second Life, but there'll be a lot of things you can do in Second Life you can't do in Sansar for some time. So it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish and when.
Right, next question. For large events, this comes from Xander Green, and I understand the pain behind this because, like Xander was one of the leaders of Fantasy Fair, and we were swapping estate managers around like crazy to try and get things done. He asks, for large events in Second Life, the limit of 10 estate managers produces a bit of a logjam in workflow. Is that limit necessary, or might an increase in the number of estate managers be possible?
Please say yes.
Yes, please say yes.
It certainly might be. That's actually been kind of a recurring theme over the last couple of years. Is can we find limits that we can raise without hurting anybody? We've raised the number of groups, we've raised the number of a whole bunch of things. But that's not one I recall having come up before. So I've never asked the question where that number comes from. But I'll certainly do that. I mean,
Thank you.
If there isn't something fundamental about it, and it doesn't seem likely, then we ought to be able to make it somewhat bigger.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
That'd be great, especially if you're like running a city
or a large scale.
How big does it need to be?
I would say 25.
That's a nice round number.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you when we need more.
Everybody here will tell you I'm partial to weird prime numbers and things, but that's
well, in that case,
just
it will be 37.
Peculiar personality.
29, yeah, 37 then.
37.
I like picking numbers people have trouble figuring out why we picked them. So.
Yes.
Yeah, the answer is always 42, of course.
Okay, everyone thinks the answer should be 42. Yeah.
Right.
There we go. Well, that's sorted then.
But I'll certainly ask that question.
Kun Monroe also asked a question from the audience, and he says, there have been an increasing number of instances of annoying bots joining groups to beg for $100 Linden to pay my tier or other dramatic stories, just to get money, and people block them and things like that. Groups block them, but others have said that the lab is requesting those bots to be reported. Is that correct? What's the best way to handle those circumstances to help stop the problem?
Well, the way we always want any bad actor to be reported is an abuse report. So it's essentially the same mechanism for anything. We are in the process of working on better controls for group chat management. I don't have a timeline for you, but it's something we're focusing on now.
Oh, excellent. And does it help if lots of people report this one problem, or is one enough? Because of people automatically say if someone starts spamming or begging for money, people say everyone report him, because the more reports, the sooner something gets done. Is that true?
You know what? I actually have no idea. I just don't know enough about how the governance team works to be able to answer that question at all. No clue.
I don't think it's. From what I hear from them, it just really clogs things up and slows things down. Hopefully, a case is whether it's reported once or 50 times, the case in of itself should be fairly black and white as to whether it's appropriate or inappropriate behavior that we need to take action on or not. And flooding the system or reporting the same issue many times really just slows us down more than so, because it's not the volume of complaints, it's the nature of the complaint that matters, really.
Right, so it's probably best for a group owner to say in chat, I've reported this, don't worry about it, don't everyone send in a ticket.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, the other way around.
It is. It is definitely true that, because I've heard it repeatedly from the team that does that sort of thing, that they get a lot of reports that are not sufficiently specific. Right. So, if you don't clearly identify who the problem is, if you don't clearly identify what it was that they were doing and provide evidence, then they get a lot of reports that they can't act on because there just isn't enough information in them to act. So, think hard about, if you were on the other end of the reporting pipeline, what would you need to know? And make sure that's all there.
Right, thank you.
Okay, we've had a question in local chat from Hypnotic Gypsy, and she is asking, is it true that everything we need to buy in Sansar we have to pay for with a credit card, and not like here with virtual money, the Lindens?
This has been an interesting conversation, but I would venture to guess that we're going to end up with something similar to Second Life, where you would buy in for virtual and be able to transact with virtual. We are thinking hard, though, about what would it mean if it was all in fiat or sort of standard currencies that we know. We would then have to support multiple currencies. Someone want to sell something in dollars, someone wants to buy it in euros, and all that. And the compliance around that has additional complexities that would make certain things that we take for granted in Second Life a bit complicated. So right now, I would venture to guess that you will see something that is more akin to what we already know in Second Life.
Oh, good. I don't have a credit card. Not that I'm judging anything completely based on how my situation is in Second Life. There's another question here from Denim Robonaut, and he asks, is there currently any idea of how much owning a place or a space in Project Sansar will cost to purchase and or on a monthly basis?
I'm not ready to talk about numbers because I don't think we're close enough to what we believe we can do. We're spending a lot of time thinking about business models and various revenue sources and the cost of infrastructure and scaling and all things combined. And I think we'll have to go through a few more months of doing that. And then probably when we start, it'll probably be experiments to see what is the right points for all of these things, so that whatever we start with, don't be surprised if it changes. But like I've said before, the goal is for basic ownership of an experience. Don't necessarily want to call it land because that's not necessarily how we think in Sansar, but owning an experience should not be crazy expensive. The goal for us is to lower the threshold so that all of us can own one or more experiences for various purposes and easily share those with others. So there might be different ways that we think about what we charge for. So it'll be sort of fees on transactions in the economy. I mean, in Second Life, Linden Lab collects almost nothing of all the economic activity that takes place. So today, as a content creator, you can basically have an environment where you're not being charged hardly anything and we do a lot of work to make that possible for you, but we don't charge you almost anything for it. I mean, 5% on the marketplace is kind of a ridiculously low number compared to what virtual goods on the internet, kind of the going rate on the internet is around 30%. And other places where if you're sell content on YouTube, you get less than that as the content creator. So and so that's why part of our business model in Second Life has been that we basically make most of our money on the hosting of the experiences or land or simulators, or servers. And we want to shift that from being primarily from there to spread more correctly across the cost of resources, i.e. servers, versus fees on transaction, versus subscriptions and all of that. And so all I can say, the goal is to have it be substantially lower than what we're used to in Second Life.
Excellent.
And part of that is that we want to do a product that has a much broader appeal. The pricing in Second Life, I believe, is part of sort of a constraint. And so I see a future where all of us are going to have multiple experiences that we use for different purposes. I'm going to have my office, I'm going to have my home theater, I'm going to have my living room, I'm going to have my lots of different experiences that I share with different audiences for different purposes, whether it's family, coworkers, or public spaces, because I'm creating a game or an experience that I want millions of people to consume. And how do we make that possible for all of us to have these? And then there might be more professional packages at higher rates that come with additional capabilities, like we discussed earlier, like why do I have to be a subscriber to get access to experience keys? Well, part of that is for us to collect some money from those types of users that are trying to do more advanced things. And so it's too early. So I can just generically say it's going to be less. And
Less is good.
yeah. Well, we got to find the less where we can also have a sustainable, successful business. So we have to make sure that we find that right balance of, yeah.
So less, but not too less.
Yeah, or we got to make sure we make a product then that is appealing to a much broader audience, and make less per person, but just make sure there's more of them. I mean, our ARPU, or average revenue per user in Second Life, is actually really, really high, because we have a very super engaged, hardcore audience that are willing to pay what they are paying today to get access to the capabilities we offer. And part of that is because we offer something that is really hard to find elsewhere.
Impossible.
But it's also not something that you would expect to be necessarily a mass market product. And with Sansar, we want to make something that is a mass market product.
Yeah, and it involves mathematics, which is always difficult. Right.
Well, I'm going to start with a question from Kenny Lex Luckless, which I think is a fun question. He says that Google gives employees 20% of the time to do their own things. Do Linden Lab give employees time to learn to use Second Life, to learn what's happening in world, or maybe develop some areas?
Well, most of them take the time. So I don't know whether I give them the time or not, but they all spend it. So yeah, no, we do encourage people to be active users, and it's important to understanding perspectives. I should say perspectives on how users see Second Life, because I think there are as many different ways to see Second Life as there are users.
I want to also add, there's this funny term that we all coin as drinking from the fire hose for all the new hires. We encourage them to come in because there's so much to learn and so much to take in. So part of the things is we have a boot camp that you get set up with an avatar and some money that you can go in there and you can play around and dress yourself up and just go around and have fun. Check out what Second Life is all about. I think a lot of people who, when that's done and over with, they get drawn back in. So that kind of starts them off, and from there they do it on their own.
Fantastic.
And in fact, the last few times I've hired people, I've deliberately looked hard to try to find people who were already Second Life users. I mean, that's a big plus, obviously.
Yes.
That would help, yes.
Yeah, it would, yes. Another question from Kenny Lex is, any thoughts on Vulkan, the new graphical tools that are meant to complement or replace OpenGL? Is the lab looking into that?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
So Sansar is, but Second Life is not.
And another question from people who love to use Macs, including me. When will Mac users be able to get into Sansar?
We would like that to be available by the end of the year. We don't currently have that resourced. We have to find a timing Right now, they would be blocked in a number of areas to really make good progress. But we know we have to have a Mac client out at or near when we go open up the doors. So I would not expect any beta or whatever creator preview users that were Mac only to be able to do anything with Sansar. So that's something that I would expect at or near general availability around the end of the year or early next year.
Alrighty.
Well, Uccello Poultry asks, could we have an update on changes to Linden Realms and the grid hunt games accessible through the portal parks?
There are some interesting new Linden developed content things on the way, but I think there are people who would be very unhappy if I gave you any details.
Yeah.
Patch is typing something in our secret conversation.
Like, do not say anything, I should imagine.
Yeah.
I know Patch is...
Go on, tell us anyway.
No, don't. No,
So there's this thing. No.
Go on.
I'm saying no because
We need Patch's good will, so we're going to not do that.
Okay, so we have got loads more questions, and I'm really sorry to people who we didn't have time to ask them. But I think we probably should wrap up now. I've got a director shouting in my ear that we really ought to go. And they're threatening region restarts to make us shut up, yes.
Maybe a goal for next time should be, if we can increase the questions and answers per hour.
Sure.
Yeah, good idea.
Ebbe's very big on metrics.
I think we answered an awful lot of questions this time. We seem to get through a great amount, and I hope that the audience appreciate and enjoy that.
Absolutely. We had a few interesting ones anyway, and lots to talk about.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Ebbe, Oz, and Troy Linden for coming here to answer residents' questions, and I look forward to seeing you both, all of you, and the guests, of course, and the public, the audience, on Lab Chat again soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and thank you for arranging and hosting, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's great. Thank you.
Very awesome. Thank you.
And would also like to thank the people who made this possible, the Lab Chat team, Linden Lab, and the people at the Linden Endowment for the Arts. Thank you all, and thank you to the residents of Second Life for making all this possible.
And if you'd like to hear this show again, the podcast will appear shortly on the Second Life YouTube channel and on the Lab Chat website, and there'll be audio highlights on the Drax Files Radio Hour podcast. There will also be a transcription of the show on the website shortly, and you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and of course on our website on labchatssl.wordpress.com.
So until next time, it's goodbye from Lab Chat.
Goodbye, auf Wiedersehen.